I cleaned my daughter's house top to bottom while she vacationed in Europe. When they returned, her husband yelled, "Who told you to touch my stuff?" Then he threw my suitcase on the lawn and said, "This isn't your home. Get out." My daughter watched from the window. I had $14 in my purse. The next time they saw me, I was standing with my name's Celeste. I'm 63. I live in a small one-bedroom apartment over a dry cleaner in Taylor, Michigan. Been here for almost 12 years. The carpet smells like cigarettes, and the heat barely works in the winter, but it's mine. I'm used to going without. I raised my daughter, Natalie, by myself. Her dad left when she was 4. He sent a couple of child support checks in the beginning, but those dried up fast. I worked at a diner in the mornings and cleaned hospital rooms overnight. Some weeks I only got 4 hours of sleep a night. I missed out on a lot of Natalie's childhood, but I always made sure she had what she needed. I put my whole life into her. Every paycheck, every favor I ever asked, every prayer I ever whispered, it was all for Natalie. She turned out smart. Made it to college on scholarships and grants. Graduated debt-free. Got a good job in corporate HR. When she met Darren, I tried to be supportive. He was slick. Too slick. You know the type, perfect teeth, always on his phone, talking about investments and deals. I didn't trust him. But I kept quiet, because Natalie looked happy. They got married fast. Bought a big new house in Novi. 4 bedrooms, marble countertops, giant walk-in closet. The kind of house you see in a movie. Natalie would call every couple weeks, mostly when she needed help or advice. It wasn't a close relationship anymore, but I didn't push. One day, she called out of the blue. Said she and Darren were going to Europe for 3 weeks, some vacation they'd been planning for months. Italy, France, wine tastings, boat tours, all that. She asked me to come stay at their house to take care of their dog, Molly. "Mom, you'll love it," she said. "You'll have the whole place to yourself." I said yes. I figured maybe we'd reconnect a little. I took the bus to Novi with a rolling suitcase and $40 in my purse. She left a key under the mat and already had a note on the fridge. "Help yourself to anything. If you have time, maybe wipe down the counters or fold some towels." It sounded easy. I thought maybe I'd watch TV, read a book, and rest. But when I walked inside, I nearly gagged. The place was a mess. Sink overflowing with dishes. Laundry piled up in the hallway. Food rotting in the fridge. Sticky floors. Dog hair everywhere. Molly was limping, smelled terrible, and there was dried pee on the couch cushions. It was chaos. So I got to work. I didn't sit down once that first day. I started in the kitchen. Took me 6 hours just to scrub the grime off the cabinets. Day 2 was the laundry, 6 loads in total, including bedding. After that, I cleaned their bathrooms top to bottom. I even scraped mildew out of the shower grout with an old toothbrush I found in a drawer. Molly slowly started to perk up. I bathed her, brushed her fur, and walked her every day. By the end of the first week, I had every room spotless. I reorganized the pantry, wiped the baseboards, cleaned the windows. I even found a dead mouse behind the dryer. I rented a small power washer with my last bit of money and cleaned the driveway. I was proud of it all. I felt useful again. Before they came back, I baked a peach cobbler. Their favorite. Put on some nice clothes, brushed my hair, and waited at the front door like it was Christmas morning. Their Uber pulled up late that evening. Darren walked in first. He stopped dead in the entryway and looked around, frowning. "What the hell?" he muttered. Natalie walked in behind him, her expression blank. I smiled. "Surprise! I cleaned everything up. The house looks amazing, doesn't it?" Darren stepped forward and narrowed his eyes. "Who told you to touch my stuff?" I laughed, thinking it was a joke. "I just cleaned. Everything was kind of out of control when I got here, so You went through my office?" "No, I just straightened up a little. I didn't touch my files, my drawers, my gym bag. It smelled. I washed it." "You went through my *****ing gym bag?" That's when his voice got loud. Sharp. Natalie stood behind him, not saying anything. She looked down at her feet like she wasn't even there. Darren turned and stormed upstairs. I stood frozen. My heart was pounding. I looked at Natalie and said, "I was just trying to help." She didn't answer. He came back down with my suitcase and my purse. Threw both out the front door. "This isn't your home. Get out." I looked at Natalie again. Still nothing. No defense. No explanation. Just silence. I picked up my suitcase and purse from the lawn. My peach cobbler sat untouched on the kitchen counter. I didn't say goodbye. I just walked. I had $14 in my purse and no plan. Took the bus back to Taylor that night. Got in after midnight. Cried in the dark for hours. I didn't eat. Didn't sleep. That kind of hurt, it's not the kind you get over in a day or a week. It lingers. But after a few days, something in me changed. I stopped crying. I stopped feeling sorry for myself. And I started thinking about how to get even. I didn't have money, but I had time. And I still had pride. I wasn't going to die feeling like I'd been thrown away. I started looking for work the next day. I didn't care what it was. My back wasn't good enough for cleaning full-time anymore, but I could answer phones, file papers, anything. I called my cousin Maurice down in Toledo. He owns a property clean-out company, cleans up places after people are evicted, or when homes are sold. He gave me a chance. Started me out on phones, part-time, $11 an hour. I took it. I showed up early, stayed late. I offered to sort supplies, organize files, pick up lunch for the crews, whatever he needed. I said yes to every shift, every task, every weekend. Maurice noticed. 3 months in, he let me start tagging along on cleanouts. I watched how it worked. Owners who defaulted. Tenants who left everything behind. Mold. Junk. Anger. I saw the way people lost their homes. And I learned how the money moved. By month 6, I was helping him stage properties for showings. I learned about liens, auctions, short sales. I read contracts in the break room. Studied mortgage documents at night with a magnifying glass. I didn't tell anyone, but I was looking up Natalie and Darren's mortgage online. They'd refinanced twice. First for a home remodel. Then to consolidate business debt. The balance kept going up. Maurice helped me build credit. He added me as an authorized user on one of his cards. I took out a small secured loan, paid it back quick. I opened a savings account just for one thing, revenge. Every tip, every bonus, every tax refund went into that account. I lived like I was broke, because I was. But I didn't stop. 3 years went by like that. Then one morning, Maurice came into the office, holding a stack of listings. "Hey, you won't believe this," he said. "You remember that house you told me about in Novi?" I nodded. "It's up for sale." I didn't even blink. I looked it up myself. Same marble floors. Same tall windows. The photos looked cold, messy. Yard wasn't trimmed. Listing was rushed. Price dropped twice in 2 weeks. Darren wasn't the agent. Someone else was handling it. I checked the tax records. They were behind. I called Stephanie, the real estate lawyer Maurice used. "Can we make a cash offer through an LLC?" I asked her. Quietly. "No names." She said yes. I gave her everything I had. Savings, a personal loan from Maurice, even pawned my wedding ring for a little extra. The offer was low, but not insulting. And it got accepted. They never knew it was me. Closing day came fast. I kept my name off every paper. Stephanie handled it all. Once the house was legally mine, I drove up there myself. Didn't knock. Just stood across the street and looked at it for a long time. The grass was patchy. The driveway had cracks. There was a foreclosure notice taped to the front window from 3 months ago. They were still inside. They were squatting. I gave them notice through the lawyer. Legally, they had 30 days to vacate. But on day 31, they were still there. So I showed up. I brought a locksmith and a sheriff's deputy. The crew stood behind me with boxes and trash bags. Darren opened the door in gym shorts and a stained t-shirt. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "Who the hell are you?" I handed him a copy of the deed. His name wasn't on it anymore. "I own this house now." "You're lying." "No. I'm not." Natalie stepped out from the kitchen. When she saw me, her face went pale. "Mom? Funny. You remembered I exist. You bought the house?" she said, quiet. "I told you I was trying to help. You both threw me out. Remember that?" Darren's voice cracked. "You don't have the money for this." "I do now." He got loud. Real loud. Started shouting about legal loopholes, bad timing, harassment. The sheriff told him to settle down or risk getting cuffed. Natalie said nothing. Again. Just like before. This time, I wasn't looking for her to speak. They packed in silence while the crew boxed up the rest. Darren threw things, kicked the couch, slammed the door so hard the wall shook. Natalie kept wiping her face with the sleeve of her hoodie. They drove off without saying goodbye. I didn't wave. I sat on the porch, right where they threw me out all those years ago, and watched the sun go down. I didn't move in. I had other plans. A week after they left, I was back at the house with Maurice and a contractor named Dennis. We were doing a full walkthrough, checking the furnace, roof, foundation, and attic. I already planned to flip the place. That was the whole idea. Sell it for a profit, walk away clean. But then we found something in the crawl space. Dennis had gone down to check the insulation. After about 5 minutes, he called up. Celeste, you might want to come see this. I got on my hands and knees and shined a flashlight down there. There were 3 large waterproof bins under the floorboards, covered in dust, but not damaged. Dennis pulled them out for me. Inside, folders, old laptops, tablets, and receipts. Dozens of them. Some were labeled with different names, none of them Darren or Natalie. There were also real estate contracts, old IDs, and several burner phones. Maurice looked through one of the folders and whistled low. "This is bad," he said. Turns out Darren wasn't just a slick talker. He was running a shell game. He'd been setting up fake companies, buying and selling fake properties, and claiming big business losses to dodge taxes. Some of the documents had Natalie's name on them too. That's when I stopped thinking this was just about getting even. This wasn't just a revenge story anymore. It was something else now. I took the bin straight to Stephanie. She didn't even hesitate. "This is felony-level stuff," she said. "Wire fraud. Tax fraud. Identity fraud. And if your daughter signed anything, she did. Then she's part of it. Whether she knew or not." I didn't know what I wanted. At first, I just wanted them to feel what I felt, disrespected, dismissed, powerless. But this could destroy them. For real. I sat with it for days. The papers. The phones. The evidence. It kept me up at night. I looked through everything, trying to figure out if Natalie knew what Darren was doing. Her name was all over the place. She'd signed loan documents, emails, digital leases, some of them clearly fake. It hurt. It really did. I wanted to believe she was tricked. I wanted to believe the daughter I raised, who used to cry over broken toys and lost friends, wouldn't be part of something like this. But the truth was right in front of me. She didn't just stand by while I got thrown out. She stood by while he built his whole fake empire. Maybe she didn't know everything. But she knew enough. And she didn't care. Meanwhile, Darren was unraveling. He must have figured out something was wrong, because he started calling Stephanie's office. Then Morris's company. Then even the title company we used for the purchase. Trying to find out how the house was bought. Who the real buyer was. He left voicemails saying he was going to sue for fraud, that he was the victim of a conspiracy. He even showed up at Morris's warehouse one morning, screaming and threatening people in the parking lot. We filed a restraining order the same day. Then he made the mistake of threatening Stephanie. Said he'd expose her for what she did if she didn't undo the sale. She recorded everything. Sent it to the state bar and law enforcement. Now it wasn't just some shady paperwork under the crawl space. Now it was harassment. Tampering. Retaliation. I knew what I had to do. I gave Stephanie the green light. "Turn it all in," I said. "Every single thing." She nodded and got to work. It didn't take long. The IRS opened a file. So did the state attorney general. Stephanie worked with an investigator who tied Darren's fake leases to stolen tax IDs, people who died, moved out of state, or didn't exist at all. Natalie's name came up again and again. There was a hearing scheduled. And a subpoena. The court summons showed up 2 weeks later. Natalie tried to reach me. First an email. Then a voicemail. Then a handwritten letter left at my apartment door. "Mom, please call me. I didn't know what Darren was doing. I thought it was all real. I just signed what he gave me. I didn't ask questions because I trusted him. I'm sorry. I miss you. Please don't let this destroy everything." She signed it. "Love, Nat." It didn't hit me the way she probably wanted it to. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't just Darren. She saw the money. She saw the vacations, the new SUV, the remodel. She knew they were living above their means. She saw the late notices. She looked away. She looked away when he threw me out. That was the real moment. That was when she made her choice. I didn't answer her letter. I let the subpoenas do the talking. The hearings were brutal. Darren showed up with a new lawyer every week. Each one quit once they saw the files we turned in. It wasn't just fraud, it was years of lies. Dozens of fake leases. Tax theft. Mortgage scams. He cried in court. Blamed everyone but himself. Said he had mental fog and bad bookkeeping. claimed Maurice and I were trying to ruin his name. Said the house deal was a setup. None of it worked. Natalie sat in silence most of the time. She didn't even look at me. I could see her shrinking more each day, like something in her was drying up. The judge didn't go easy. Darren was charged with federal wire fraud, tax fraud, and falsifying loan documents. They seized what was left of his accounts. He pled out to avoid a longer sentence. He's serving 5 years in a federal prison in Kentucky. Natalie? She wasn't charged, but they made it clear she wasn't innocent. The IRS gave her a huge penalty for signing fake income forms. She owed over $90,000 in back taxes and fees. Her credit was destroyed. She lost her job when word got out. HR let her go quietly, but I heard from someone who used to work with her they knew why. She filed for bankruptcy 4 months later. The SUV got repossessed. The rest of their furniture? Sold off. She ended up moving back in with Darren's parents in a rundown duplex in Westland. I only know that because she emailed Morris's office trying to reach me again. She said she wanted to rebuild. She said she missed family. I never responded. As for the house, I flipped it. Didn't even keep a photo. I sold it to a young couple with a baby on the way. Gave them a fair deal, helped them with closing costs. The wife cried when I handed her the keys. That felt right. That felt like justice. I used the profits to buy a duplex in Taylor. One side is mine. The other I rent to a young single mom with 2 kids. She reminds me of myself. She works nights at the same hospital I used to clean. Sometimes I sit on my porch and watch the buses roll by. I think about how Natalie used to smile when I picked her up from school. I think about the woman she grew up to be. I wonder where she broke. And I wonder what would have happened if she had just stepped in that day, just once, when he threw my suitcase onto the lawn. But she didn't. So now she's got her answers. And I've got my peace. I'm not rich. I'm not famous. But I own my home. I sleep through the night. And when I walk down the street, I hold my head high. Sometimes revenge doesn't need fireworks. Sometimes it just looks like survival, and a door that locks from the inside. The one they can't ever throw you out of again.